Welcome to Coffee Talk, everybody. It's, November. I feel like I say this every time I host, but I had this hit me the other day. I'm like, Light Up is less than a month away.
Wow. No, it's not. It's still September.
Right? Actually, I think it's 1 month from the date of recording this, if I recall correctly.
Wow.
Yeah. Expect a lot more information about that next week. I don't want to jump ahead too far. But welcome to Coffee Talk. As I said a few minutes ago, we're excited to be with you this morning. We're together. Band, I know last week we were all together too, but it still felt like my brain wasn't totally here. So I feel like we are actually all back together now, though Kevin still thinks it's September, so he'll join us when he's ready. Hopefully you've got something, it's cold, so hopefully you got something warm to sip on as we do. Well, let's look back, as we always do in these videos. Jeff, you've led us through a conversation of justice on Sunday. We are becoming more kingdom-minded, looking at different values of the kingdom.
Virtues.
Virtues, thank you. I'm like, man, it's a different V word. Whatever. Okay, so maybe it's just Jeff here on Coffee Talk. I'll join you in a minute. Anyways, different virtues and justice. So, I love that the way you started that, Jeff, was you had us think through generosity and God's generosity. And sometimes we don't always link generosity and justice. Mm-hmm. We think, generosity is its own thing, which I think you're talking about this upcoming week, so interesting you put the justice before the generosity, but they go together so well. Mm-hmm. What are some ways that being generous has advanced or enabled you or groups you've been a part of to act more justly?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great question.
I would say I personally have experienced it, especially when I was connected with, you mentioned it on Sunday, and I'm not trying to advertise, but I saw it with my own two eyes when I was connected with Gain, and there was that opportunity for me to just do a little bike ride and to bring some justice to some people in Benin, Africa, and an entire well for water was built, not through my generosity, but through others. And all of a sudden, people's lives were changed. There's 230 people in a little village that now have clean water, not because of me, but because of other people's generosity and the ability to just say, here, I give because I care. And that these people are worthwhile, and that blew me away, and without their generosity that would not have happened, and there would have still been that little makeup in funds or struggle that needed to happen in their lives for them to see clean water. I think that's for me personally, that's not right. For somebody to be on the other side of the world and not have clean water, that's not right. So to see that generosity played out, it blew my mind.
Well, you said there it wouldn't have happened without the generosity of all the others, but you, in your humility, underestimate the generosity of your time, right? It wasn't just like you made one phone call and it was done in 30 seconds. There was the training and the time you invested into riding that sometimes it's really easy to just look at financial generosity, and we forget that actually a lot of justice happens when we're just more generous with our time, with our other resources. And one of the examples we were talking about before we started recording was when I'm generous with the things I have and I'm willing to loan them out, justice gets done, right? If I'm worried that any of my things are going to come back damaged or lost, then that can get in the way of justice. But if I'm just generous with my things, if I'm generous with my time, if I'm generous with my finances, then more justice gets done. So I thank you. That's a great example. I just don't want us to think that financial generosity is the only one.
Oh yeah, no, it's very good. Yeah.
Jeff, it looked like you maybe had something there. And
nothing is so personal. when I've taken youth on trips where we were going to do justice by helping an underserviced population in some way. Generally, it was building a house for a family that just wouldn't ever be able to afford it on their own. Or we were involved with a building project that kind of got started when we came back because we saw a need and we're like, how can we fill this? And it was the generosity of people that allowed that justice to be done. And if there wasn't generosity, then it wouldn't get done. So yeah, I really like that you linked that generosity to justice. Funny that the book, one of the books I recommended was called Generous Justice,
Oh, really?
by Timothy Keller.
Yeah.
So yeah, but that's a really good link that that I didn't bring out much except in that opening thing. So thank you.
Well, and a couple other examples sort of came to me in the midst of our 50th celebration.
Yeah.
Right? We talked about Al Stober, offering this property at a significantly reduced rate, of which someone else picked up the financial tab for. So there's all that generosity that didn't actually see, you might think, well, that's not really justice, but like the things that as a church we are able to do in terms of acting justly because of that long ago generosity shouldn't go unrecognized. But also in that, it was mentioned like George Fritzke's involvement in starting Kelowna Gospel Mission. Like there's someone else in our church, like, a name that just means nothing to some of you who are newer to Lakeview, but as an example of someone who saw something and then was able to get involved because they had a heart bent towards being generous with time and resources to get involved and take care of that need. And so,
I think that's amazing. And just as you were talking about time, right? Like, and even some of these things feel really big, right? And sometimes we also forget about some of the small things. I think about people who have either done it for me or for the opportunities that we've had to coach, right? Like, okay, we need your time. We need you to be generous with your time. We know you are limited. But when you're generous with your time and you're able to step in and coach people in basketball, soccer, volleyball, whatever, that amazing things can be done and that people's lives can be changed, And I think that kind of relates in those same ways, not just in generosity, but also in like flip that over for me to say, yes, I have the time, but I don't want to, and now this team goes without a coach. Right? I think that's unjust. I think that's not right. So the opportunity to see, amazing things happen through that sense of generosity. Yeah, I think that's a great example. Not just resources.
We tend to think of justice as this big thing, and it is. It is. Like we can't ignore the big things, but there are little things like the right ordering of human relationships and the right ordering of God's creation is justice.
Yeah.
And so all these things are. That's part of what we talked about, is becoming more aware, like these are some of the things that when you start to think justice, you start to become more aware, and then, it's my generosity that feeds the justice. Even our benevolent fund, speaking a little bit more personally again, our benevolent fund is a way for us to do justice. The generosity of all of us as a congregation, putting aside a fund that's just to give to people that are in need, I've been able to deliver some of those goods, some of those, the things that we were able to do to people and see their reaction. It's beautiful. And that's because of the generosity. So yeah, there's another like.
Well, and in a similar vein, Tuesday of this week, I took a meal to the, BGC Youth Drop-In Center. And there on a whiteboard for all the people who come in to see is, church dinner tonight. They know that it is people in a church who are caring for them. Wow. The staff know specifically who it is, and they know who I am and recognize me and know that it's Lakeview. And for them to, to interact, have a brief interaction of, here's dinner tonight. They say thank you. Like for us just to be able to say, it's actually our pleasure. Like it is really a joy to do this. And those are things, a little bit of time, a little bit of money, and we get to do justly in our town. And right ordering of relations is really good. Sometimes I think we minimize the justice of caring for the creation, right? I think about all the times, and Sheena's so much better at this than me, seeing that our kid has thrown like a yogurt cup or some plastic in our garbage and being like, that's not right, and taking it out. Like, and it's a 30-second thing just to rinse the yogurt cup and throw it in the recycling bin. But, you know, not a huge time investment, but yet actually to right order, oh, these things could be recycled and should be, so that they're not just in the dump. And it's an imperfect system. We can criticize it all we want. Wish more was recyclable than it really is, but it's a small thing too that
Yeah.
doesn't take a lot of time.
Well, God cares about
Sorry, excuse me.
God cares about his creation, right? And
Yeah.
I think we should too. And so when we say, oh, it's all going bad, whatever, no, he's a God of redemption. He redeemed us. He wants to be us to be people of redemption. So if we want to care about the things that he does, it's a good example. Yeah.
Right. So next week we're going to come back together and we're going to talk more about generosity because
Not this coming
no,
week.
it's
Yeah,
right. It's in 2 weeks.
Couple weeks, yeah.
Couple weeks. Oh, we get a break.
Yeah.
I don't have to be generous next week.
This
Just
week's
kidding.
compassion. So yeah, it's
Oh my
similar.
goodness, it's all going to be generosity again, isn't it, Jeff? It's all good, all good. We'll talk. We'll continue these conversations as we do because they're important. They're important for us as just
Yeah.
being faithful to God, right? If nothing else, I've got to be responsible for my faithfulness.
Yeah.
And so, and we want to spur one another on towards it too. I'm looking down at the ground because I actually see a combination of looking ahead / justice. Oh, look at that. Look at you with your ability to grab things with your toes there, Jeff. Way to go. Shoe boxes. This is an empty one. It'd be great if this became a full one. But on the 17th is the deadline to get these in. And so that's coming up really fast. I know it seems like November 17th is far away. It's a week.
Yeah.
It's 1 week.
Yeah.
And so,
It's still September. We're fine.
I want it to be. I
Kevin's
will
going to
say.
time travel.
Yesterday
pretty
when
quickly
I
here.
when I walked outside this week and that day where the sun was shining gloriously and the leaves were the beautiful color, I'm like, this is the fall I love. I wish it was a couple degrees warmer, but this is the fall. Like, it was just so perfect. And
Yeah.
then we're back to gray skies. Anyways, because it is November. So that's coming real fast. So if you've got shoe boxes at home that you've been filling, please get them in by the 17th so that we can get them sent off together. We're looking at having special volunteers, little Samaritan's Purse helpers, if you will, collecting these on the 17th. So if you bring them in that day, you can look for people in the foyer who will receive them, welcome them, pile them up with all the others. And it's going to be just a morning of joy as we recognize what good can come out of sharing a simple gift with someone else. It also, from talking with Alyssa this week, is a very busy season of women's ministry events. Not to run through all of these, but I realized we didn't say who's going to talk about what. So here we go. Real quick, Thursday night, tonight when this video comes out, is the cook night for mamas. Next Friday is the sip and see for baby Dominic and Anna. And then every Sunday for the next couple weeks, women's banquet tickets are on sale. That deadline is coming up real fast. Do we know the deadline of that?
No.
Kevin will put the information in the little thing below because we didn't do our homework before we came to this, but you don't have a lot of time to get
But
the
I can
tickets
tell you-
because it's the last Friday of November is the
I can
event.
tell you it's the 29th of November.
Yes.
That's the event.
That's
so.
That's the
Yeah.
important
Circle
date.
that one.
But if
Yeah.
you wait until the 28th to get a ticket, I'm very sorry to inform you,
Yeah.
that won't be an option.
And they're actually talking like they may have to stop selling because they just will run out of room. So you definitely
That's
want
right.
to
It is
Yep.
a well-attended event,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
get your tickets early.
It is, and I love that it's one of those events where, yes, it's the ladies of our church. There's always friends who come along with it. It is a community event in many ways, and so get your tickets so you can be part of that. And think of who you want to invite to join you to celebrate the beginning of the Christmas season and to reflect on Jesus in that time too. Other things that people need to be aware of. Oh, the youth event coming up, October 12th. No,
November.
November 12th. Oh man.
What month is it?
What month is it?
I've been sitting in November the whole time, guys, come on.
We fell back this week too
Yeah, we
and
did.
got an
We
extra
did,
hour,
yeah.
and I'm still not with it. Anyways, November 12th, that's Tuesday night. All a number of youth ministries of the West Side are getting together at Emmanuel at 6:45 to come together and kind of have some fun and grow and learn, and that'll be a good thing. So don't come here on Monday night if you in the youth. Instead, Tuesday night, go to Emmanuel, and we'll see you there.
I
One
would
other
say
thing.
one more thing. The reason
Yes.
that we're also doing that, make sure that you don't come here on Mondays because Monday is a Remembrance Day.
It is a Remembrance
So
Day.
we would encourage you to, take in service. I mean, many of our kids who are in school are taking part in some of that as well too.
Yep.
And so you can even go and attend a lot of those services throughout this week. And but chances are there's a community one at Royal LePage Place on Monday. So
I believe there's also a community one at the Cenotaph too.
Oh,
if
nice.
anybody wanted to be attending the outdoor one. I was talking with Jared Enns about that. He's the pastor at the Alliance Church. I can't remember if he said it was last year he spoke at it or this year, but he's been involved in that one as well. So there's a couple different ways, and then there's lots of different ways actually on Remembrance Day to join with others, take a moment, and remember, and yeah, as a community thing, it seems like even an interesting way to act justly in that too. I think that's it then. I think we got through the long list of what's happening because it's November, and we're just in the lead up to Christmas. It's all these good things. Anyways, thanks for spending some time with us and being generous with your time to connect, and we'll connect and hopefully see you in face to face real soon.